Game of Trumps is about to get really bloody. With special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation moving ever closer to President Trump himself, it looks like someone inside the family is about to be sacrificed. With Michael Flynn, Trump's former national security advisor, pleading guilty last week to the charge of lying to the FBI, much more about the Russia scandal is now coming into focus. The Flynn flip was by far the most dramatic event so far in the investigation into alleged Russian interference in 2016's U.S. presidential race. Flynn's evidence can only lead up the chain of power towards Trump. Consider this chronology. On November 23 it was widely reported that Flynn had informed the Trump legal team that he could no longer discuss the case with them. The end of cooperation with Trump surely signaled the beginning of cooperation with Mueller. 2 days later the New York Times and Washington Post carried nearly identical stories about Jared Kushner's waning influence. The Times story had 3 bylines, including Maggie Haberman, the president's go-to reporter. Ashley Parker, who was a frontline reporter on the Trump campaign for the Times and now covers the White House for the Post, parroted virtually the same line in a story headlined "The Shrinking Profile of Jared Kushner." Someone high up in the White House seemed anxious for the word to spread. The Times story was attributed, in part, to 3 advisors to the president. Parker's included an earlier interview with Kushner and came from interviews with Kushner himself, as well as 12 senior administration officials, aides, outside advisors, and confidants, some speaking on condition of anonymity to offer a more candid assessment. Both stories raised the question of how long Kushner and his wife, Ivanka, the president's daughter, would remain in Washington. The Flynn plea deal makes clear that he was not acting as a lone ranger in his communications with Russian officials, including the Russian ambassador to the U.S., Sergei Kislyak. Documents show that Flynn was told to call the Russians and other key international officials to discuss the sanctions President Obama was placing on Russia for interfering in the U.S. election. Within minutes of the plea deal being announced, several news organizations reported that Kushner was the one directing Flynn's communications, which Flynn then lied about to the FBI. In the statement Flynn made about his guilty plea, he noted that he made the decision to cooperate because it was in the best interests of his family. No doubt this is a reference to his own son, Michael Flynn Jr., who worked for his father during the transition. What Kushner told the president about firing former FBI Director James Comey will be critical.